Hello everyone, welcome to VMS class. So far we have learned two numeric data types. One is int data type, which is used to store whole numbers, which include the positive numbers, negative numbers, and zero. The second type is a float data type, which is used for storing the decimal numbers. And the third type of numbers is a complex data type. It is one of the number type, right? It is also a kind of number, comes under the numeric data type, that is a complex data type. So although this complex you may not use much in everyday applications like shopping applications, banking software, okay. But they are commonly used in science, engineering, robotics, so some kind of signal processing applications. So these complex numbers can be commonly used. So that's why let us have a brief idea of complex number also. What is this complex type of number and how can we store the data and all. Now let us go to the definition. What is a complex number? What is a complex number? A complex number is mainly containing, it consists of two parts. So one is a real part, second one is imaginary part. A number contains two parts, one is a real part, another one is imaginary part. So if you take one example here, the form is a plus bj. In Python, any number, if this is in the form a plus bj, then we can say it is a complex number. So here a is nothing but the real part of that number, b is nothing but the imaginary part of that number, and j is nothing but here imaginary unit. Okay, j is nothing but imaginary unit. If I take an example 3 plus 4j, okay, 3 plus 4j is a complex number. In this real part is nothing but 3, the imaginary part, that is nothing but 4. Okay, you can create complex numbers using this format. So let me take an example of creating this complex number. In ideally a equal to 3 plus 4j. If you print a, you can see that it is displaying 3 plus 4j. And type of a, you can see that it is a type of complex number. B equal to another number I am taking 10 minus 2j. You can also take negative values here for imaginary part. Also, you can take the real part, also a negative number. If I print B, print of type of A, you can see that it is showing complex number. Even you can take C equal to minus 5 plus 8j. If I print C minus 5 plus 8j, type of C, can see that again it is a complex number. Okay, you can see the type using the type function, right? So this is basic example. Now even you can perform the addition of complex numbers. Let's take a new file here. I am taking a equal to 3 plus 4j, b equal to 2 plus 5j. I have two complex numbers like this. Result equal to A plus B. You can do the addition between this complex number, print of result. Okay. So now when you execute this, you can see you are getting 5 plus 9j. If I print A is 3 plus 4j, B is 2 plus 5j. So 3 plus 2, that is 5. 4 plus 5, that is 4j plus 5j, it is 9j. So the result is nothing but 5 plus 9j. Okay. Now even you can perform the multiplication also, but you can get the different kinds of output. Maybe you can expect, so A star B. Let me execute this. You can see that the result is something different. 14 plus 23j. Okay. So how we are getting, it will be completely based upon the multiplication. A is 3 plus 4j. B is 2 plus 5j. Now you can expect 3 multiplied by 2, that is the 6. 4 multiplied by 5, that is 20. Some of the students will expect like this, but it is not like that. Okay. So it is going to print this kind of number. So how we will get it, I will explain with a small example also. So we will see that at the end of this lesson. Now, even you can print the real part and imaginary part also. If I take number equal to 8 plus 6j, it's a number. Now, if I print number dot real, it will display the real part of that number. By default, this values will be stored in the floating point number. Even the imaginary part also, internally, number dot imag image, it will also print the number in the form of float. Okay. So every complex number has two built-in attributes here, number dot real dot imaginary part. And notice that here the Python is returning them as float. Okay. So let us have some of the important points related to this complex number. The first point, imaginary part uses j, not I. In real time, the imaginary part, okay, in mathematics, if you consider the mathematics notation, it is something like this 3 plus 4i. But, okay, this is the case of mathematics. In the mathematics, it will be represented 3 plus 4i form. But here in Python, the complex number can be represented in 3 plus 4j. Okay, Python follows the notation used in the electrical or electronic engineering, where j represents the imaginary unit. Okay, so this is very important point. Then real and imaginary parts are float. So even I have shown the example here. In this case, if you notice that these two numbers, the real part and imaginary part, both are numbers only. And what type of number it is? It is a floating point number. If you print a number dot real or number dot image, it is printing the float. So internally, it is going to store this real and imaginary parts as floating point numbers. Okay. And one more thing, a very important point, you can create a complex number. You can create a complex number using the complex function also. Okay, you can create a complex numbers using complex function also. So here I am taking a equal to 3 plus 4j. Okay. You can see the a value type of a. You can notice that it is a complex number. So this is one way directly you can assign. So second way you can use a complex function. Okay, complex of, you have to pass the real and imaginary values here. Complex of 3 comma 4. Now if you see the value of b, it is 3 plus 4j. So again in this case also b dot real, it is going to store it as a float value. B dot image, it is also going to store the value in terms of float only. Okay, so here the complex function is taking two arguments. The first argument is the real part, the second argument is the imaginary part. This is very important here. Complex is taking two arguments. One is here the real part, the second one is the imaginary part. Okay, so even you can also print the magnitude of this, the absolute value here. You can print the absolute value using ABS function. For example, num equal to 3 plus 4j. You can also print absolute of number. You can see the value is 5.0. So this is returning the magnitude, the distance from the origin. Okay, so what is the distance from the origin to this number? It is going to print. Okay, so basically it is going to calculate it using the Pythagoras theorem. Okay, if you want, you can check it out how we can calculate the distance based on that. Okay, so that is here. Another important point I want to tell you here, complex numbers cannot be compared. So this is a very important point. We cannot compare one complex number with another complex number. Here, if I have the value of a and b, now you can say a greater than b, it is not possible. You cannot compare. Okay, you cannot compare one complex number with another complex number. If you try to compare, it is going to generate type error. Okay, unlike integers, if I take a equal to 3, b equal to 4, we can compare a greater than b, which will return false. If a is greater than b, then it is going to return true, otherwise it returns false. But complex numbers cannot be compared. Okay, if you try to compare, it will give you the error. Okay, so try to understand, this is a very important interview point of question. So they may give you a value and b value in the complex number, and a greater than b, they will ask you whether it is true or false, but it will raise the error. Okay, now let us see few questions on this. What is a complex number in Python? It is a definition. A complex number contains the real part and imaginary part represented using the j suffix. 3 plus 4j is an example for complex number. Which symbol represents the imaginary part in Python? Python uses j to represent the imaginary unit instead of I. I is used in the mathematics, but in Python, it is going to use j. How do you access the real and imaginary parts of a complex number? We have two attributes, real and image. Now, if the number is num equal to 8 plus 6j, you can use num.real, num.image to print the real and imaginary part of that number. So this will print the result in floating point number 8.0, 6.0. How can you create a complex number using a function? You can use the complex function. You have to pass the real and imaginary part to that, so that it will create a complex number. The another question, can complex numbers be compared using less than or greater than symbols? No, Python will raise the type error because complex numbers do not have a natural ordering. There is no order. Like we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a order. Okay. So that's why you can compare. But complex numbers do not have any ordering. Where are these complex numbers will be used in real world applications? Complex numbers are commonly used in signal processing, electrical engineering, robotics, physics, telecommunications, artificial intelligence, scientific computing. In all these, we can use the complex numbers. Now, I have mentioned the multiplication of two complex numbers, how we are going to get it. A equal to 2 plus 3j, B equal to 4 plus 2j, A multiplied by B. What is the output of this? Here, A is 2 plus 3j multiplied by B is 4 plus 2j. The multiplication will be something like this. The first number in the first complex number multiplied by the first number in the second complex number. So it is nothing but the real parts. So 2 multiplied by 4 plus 2 multiplied by 2j plus 3j multiplied by 4 plus 3j multiplied by 2j. So it will be something like this: 8 plus 4j plus 12j plus 6j square, because this is 6j square. In mathematics, the j square value is -1. So you can substitute that in this equation. So you will get 8 plus 16j minus 6. If you simplify this, it will be 2 plus 16j. So like this, the multiplication will work. So you can type this A value and B value in the ideal shell and check this A multiplied by B and see the result. Okay. Thank you. I will see you in the next lesson.